zusammengesetzte Verben, compound verbs. So in today's video, I will show you how trennbare, untrennbare Verben, so separable and inseparable verbs work in German. When do you have to separate them? When can't you separate them? And yes, there are also a few verbs that actually can be separable or inseparable depending on the situation. Hi, my name is Jan and I'm your German teacher here on EasyDeutsch, your YouTube channel for German grammar. Today's topic is trennbare und untrennbare Verben, so compound verbs, zusammengesetzte Verben. Those are verbs that can be created by simply adding something in front of another verb. And with the help of my ebook, German Grammar Explained Easily, I will teach you now all the secrets you have to know. So let's switch into my ebook. So we're here now in my ebook, German Grammar Explained Easily. Today's topic is zusammengesetzte Verben, compound verbs. You probably know them also as separable or inseparable verbs. So let's go through my table of content here, and it should be here. There we go. Zoom in. And compound verbs are verbs that we create by adding a prefix. A prefix is simply another syllable in front of the verb, and what's very important here for you is this changes the meaning of the verb. Sometimes just a little bit, but sometimes it's something entirely different compared to the meaning of the actual main verb, the basic verb without the prefix. And we have separable and inseparable verbs. The name gives it away already. Separable verbs need to be separated from their prefix when we conjugate them, and inseparable verbs stay together even after a conjugation. If you don't know what's conjugation, just give me a second. We will go through this later on. And very important here, the prefix itself determines if it's separable or inseparable. So the verb itself has no say in this. It's the prefix that is either separable or inseparable. And let's have a look at a few examples here to make it more visible. So we have first the basic, the simple verb, ich stehe in der Küche, so I'm standing in the kitchen. And now we have the same verb with a separable prefix as a separable verb. Ich stehe jeden Morgen 6 Uhr auf. Now the verb is aufstehen, to get up. And we have here auf and stehen, that belongs together. And with an inseparable prefix, ich verstehe dich nicht. So I do not understand you. And here you can already see that sometimes the meaning is just slightly changed, like from standing in the kitchen, now it's getting, so that's still slightly related, but to understand, there is absolutely no connection to the original meaning of standing here. So if you have a verb where you actually know this first part, the base part, but you don't know what it means with this part in front, it's always better to check dictionary. Sometimes if it's like preposition here, if you know this already, it can mean that you take the meaning of the preposition, add it to the meaning of the main verb, and then whatever is the merger of it will be the meaning of the verb, like here. But that won't always work. So in an exam and you have no idea, go for it. But if you actually have the chance to check it, I always recommend you to please check the meaning. And here I have the most important separable prefixes. You can see most of them you actually know, either prepositions or simply an adverb. So you know them, they have a meaning themselves, and they are usually separable. So that's the general rule that you you have to remember, most of the time, if you actually know it as a preposition, it will be separable, and there are a few more of them. And let's just have a look here at one or two more examples. Abfahren, ich fahre morgen ab, so I will leave tomorrow. Aufstehen, du stehst 6 Uhr auf, you will get up at 6, or you're getting up at 6 o'clock, and so on. So I gave you the tip already, so let's check the inseparable ones. Here we do not have that many, so actually most of the prefixes are actually separable ones. Here the most important ones are be and ver and zer, and they never get separated. But you can see also, except for none of them actually mean something themselves. And a second one here is in, but it's a rare one, so you will not see this very often. But this one is important. You actually notice as simply he, but this one doesn't get separated. But if it's a preposition or an adverb, yes, we do separate them. For example, verstehen, du verstehst den Satz nicht, so you do not understand the sentence. Bestehen, besteht die Prüfung am Montag, so he passed the exam on Monday, or will pass in English. So here you see the meaning changed entirely just with the prefix again. So please do not assume it is something similar. And yes, you might have seen it here in the video already. There's also some prefixes that are actually separable and inseparable at the same time. And those are also known as words for themselves, usually as prepositions like durch, hinter, über, unter, or as adverb, local adverbs here like those. And here I will show you an example first of a not separable one and a separable one, and will tell you how to figure it out when they're actually separable and when not. So let's have a look here. Ich durchquere den Tunnel. So I cross the tunnel, or ich schneide das Band durch. Here you see a word where it's actually the same word with two different ways of pronouncing it. And here we have umfährt das Schild, so this means he drives around the sign, versus fährt das Schild he drives into the sign. So we have the main verb fahren and with the prefix And if we pronounce it umfährt, it means to drive around, because we have the stress on fahr, so on the verb fahren. And if we pronounce it umfahren, we have the stress on the prefix, and then we separate it. That's actually the same rule for all of the prefixes, but usually it's just much easier if you know them and you know their preposition. But with those ones here that can actually be both, it's all down to the pronunciation. How do you stress them? For example, here it's also ich durchquere den Tunnel, but here it's durchschneiden. Obviously, I exaggerated it a little bit, but if the stress is on the prefix, it's separable. If the stress is here, it's not separable. So let's have a look at the conjugation, and that actually doesn't change at all. So there's no influence on the conjugation of simple verb. You conjugate it just the same way you would without the prefix. The only thing is, if it's separable, the prefix here has to be at the very end of the sentence. So we put this prefix at the back of the sentence. Same thing what you know already from Nebensätze, subordinate clauses. If you don't know them yet, there's a video that I will link for you in the upper right corner, so check it out. But here, German likes to put stuff at the very end of the sentence. And do you always have to separate? No. You only have to separate the verb from the prefix when you actually conjugate this particular verb. For example here, ich schlafe immer sehr spät ein. So I always fall asleep very late. Here you do conjugate einschlafen, so you have to separate. But if you actually use a modal verb or an auxiliary verb that is conjugated and you do not conjugate the main verb, nothing gets separated here. Ich kann nicht einschlafen, so I cannot fall asleep. Here we do conjugate können, and then the separate verb just stays the way it is. Same with inseparable verbs. The conjugation stays the same. You simply have here the prefix in front of it, and there's absolutely no other change. Verb stays in the second position here, and the rest stays just the way it is. Where you have to pay attention is with the infinitive with zu. But infinitive with zu is B1 level, so this video is more an A1, A2. So I will link the video in the info cards for you if you want to check that out. If you're using infinitive with zu already, there you find also all information about separable and inseparable verbs in combination with infinitive with zu. So always remember, if you actually stress the prefix, you separate it. If you do not stress the prefix, you do not separate it. But that's important for you with the special verbs here, with the special prefixes. If this stressing and pronunciation is not your strong suit, and it's not so easy if you're not a native, obviously, just check the rule with, if it looks like a preposition, yes, it's separable. If it's not, then it's probably inseparable, or simply learn the very few inseparable prefixes and then you get it right as well. And I hope you've learned a lot in this video, and if you liked it, please do not forget to put the thumbs up, a like here with the video, and of course, if you haven't done it yet, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you very much for your support. If you want to support me even further, or you like the ebook that you've just seen, you can actually buy this ebook either alone or together with its other friends. There are 10 ebooks about German grammar that I have published. In all of them, I explain to you all the different topics in an easy to understand way from a student's perspective. And of course, you find plenty of exercises there as well, so that you can always practice what you've learned here in my video lessons. And if you want to buy them, of course, just check out the video description. There you can find all my ebooks. And then I hope I will see you again in one of my other lessons. And until then, viel Spaß und Erfolg beim Deutschlernen.